Imagine a city so rich, so wild, so utterly consumed by its own excess that its very existence felt like a dare to the heavens. A place where fortunes were made and lost in a single night, where the line between hero and villain blurred, and where every pleasure imaginable was within reach. This was not some mythical land from a forgotten tale. This was Port Royal, Jamaica, in the late 17th century, a city so notorious it earned the chilling title, the wickedest city in the world. For decades, Port Royal thrived as the undisputed capital of the Caribbean. It was not just any capital, but the very beating heart of piracy, a sanctuary for buccaneers and privateers who plundered the Spanish Main with ruthless efficiency. Picture the scene: magnificent ships, their sails tattered from daring raids on treasure fleets, docking in a bustling harbor. They were laden with unimaginable riches, gold and silver, precious jewels, exotic spices and silks, all ripped from the grasp of the Spanish Empire. The British, having recently acquired Jamaica, were eager to protect their new possession from their European rivals. They offered these brethren of the coast a pragmatic, if morally dubious deal. Use Port Royal as your home, and in return, you will be our shield against the Spanish. It was a pact that transformed a sleepy, unremarkable port into an economic powerhouse, a magnet for wealth and adventure. Money flowed like water through its streets, creating a city of unparalleled opulence. But with that immense wealth came an equally immense darkness. The city became a crucible of vice and indulgence. Taverns, it is said, outnumbered homes, each one a den of gambling, drinking, and brawling. Prostitutes lined the streets, offering fleeting pleasures to sailors and pirates flush with plunder. The air was thick with the smell of rum, gunpowder, and sea salt. Even the parrots, legend has it, developed a taste for the potent liquor, squawking drunken obscenities from their perches, mimicking the very language of their human companions. This was a city living on borrowed time, a place built not just on a foundation of sand, but on a foundation of sin and unchecked excess. And that foundation was not just metaphorical. Port Royal was literally constructed on a narrow sandbar, a fragile strip of land, constantly battling the encroaching sea. As the city grew, its inhabitants, driven by ambition and greed, simply dumped more sand and rubble into the shallow waters, extending their domain. Upon this unstable man-made ground, they erected heavy stone buildings, grand houses, and formidable fortifications, all resting on what amounted to little more than shifting silt. It was a precarious existence, both morally and geologically, a testament to human hubris in defiance of natural law. Then came June 7th, 1692. A seemingly ordinary morning dawned over the bustling port. The sun was high in the tropical sky, the harbor was alive with the coming and going of ships, and life in the Sodom of the West continued its raucous rhythm. But at precisely 11:43 in the morning, the earth itself rebelled with a terrifying fury. 3 colossal shocks ripped through the island, each one more violent than the last. The ground beneath Port Royal did not merely shake, it liquefied. Imagine the sheer terror of that moment. The very ground beneath your feet turning to quicksand, solid earth becoming a churning, watery mass. Buildings, constructed with such confidence, collapsed into the swirling earth, their heavy stone walls crumbling like paper. People were swallowed whole by gaping fissures that opened and closed in an instant, trapping them in the suffocating depths. In a mere 2 minutes, an unimaginable catastrophe unfolded. 2/3 of the city, with all its wealth and wickedness, plunged beneath the waves. As if the earth's wrath was not enough, a monstrous tsunami followed, sweeping away what little remained of the coastal structures, capsizing ships in the harbor and claiming even more lives. Of the 6,500 souls who called Port Royal home, an estimated 2,000 perished in that horrifying, cataclysmic moment. Thousands more would follow in the weeks and months of disease, starvation, and despair that gripped the survivors, who found themselves adrift in a world utterly transformed. It was a devastation so profound, so sudden that many, both then and now, saw it as nothing less than divine judgment, a literal hand of God, striking down the wicked city for its transgressions. Port Royal tried to rise again from the watery grave, but fate, or perhaps providence, seemed determined to keep it submerged. Fires ravaged the nascent reconstructions, hurricanes swept away new settlements, and epidemics decimated the remaining population. Each disaster chipped away at its spirit, until the once proud capital became little more than a ghost of its former self. Its glory and economic power transferred to the burgeoning city of Kingston. The era of the buccaneer was already fading, its golden age drawing to a close, but the earthquake delivered the final, symbolic blow. The shockwaves of that day did not just reshape the land, they reshaped the very moral landscape of Jamaica, sparking a profound religious revival that turned the tide against piracy and lawlessness. Many a pirate, who once reveled in Port Royal's embrace, would later meet their grim end at Gallows Point, a chillingly ironic fate in the very harbor they once dominated. Yet from this profound tragedy emerged an unparalleled gift to history. Because Port Royal sank so rapidly, so completely, it became an extraordinary time capsule. Unlike most archaeological sites, which are layers of gradual change, offering glimpses of different eras, Port Royal offers a singular snapshot, a perfectly preserved moment of late 17th century life. It is precisely why archaeologists today call it the most important underwater site in the Western Hemisphere. Every artifact, every building, every street frozen in time beneath the waves tells a story of a vibrant, tumultuous era. And it is how we know the exact moment the Earth swallowed the city. A pocket watch, found in the wreckage, its hands forever stopped at 11:43 in the morning. A silent, poignant witness to the end of an era and the ultimate devastating price of hubris.